Welcome to this detailed exploration of Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan for Gaza. Announced on September 29, 2025, this proposal is designed to bring an end to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. The plan has already been accepted by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, while Hamas continues to deliberate on its response under a deadline issued by Trump. This analysis will break down each point of the proposal, examining its historical background, political implications, economic prospects, cultural dimensions, and social consequences. Drawing upon expert perspectives and research-based references, we aim to assess whether this framework can realistically pave the way for peace. Point 1. Gaza as a deradicalized, terror-free zone. The proposal emphasizes security as the foundation, demanding that Gaza pose no threat to its neighbors. Historically, following Israel's 2005 withdrawal, the power vacuum allowed Hamas to rise in 2007, The New York Times. Politically, this requires Hamas to disarm, a highly contentious demand. Critics, including scholars such as Diana Buttu, argue that the measure disproportionately favors Israel. Economically, a stable Gaza could attract international investment. Socially, de-radicalization programs raise concerns over forced assimilation, while culturally they challenge deeply rooted narratives of Palestinian resistance. Regional actors are expected to guarantee compliance, Reuters, though many argue the plan lacks clarity on enforcement. Point 2. Redevelopment of Gaza. The plan proposes massive reconstruction for Gaza's war-torn landscape. Over 66,000 lives have been lost in recent years of conflict, Al Jazeera. Past reconstruction efforts, such as those after the 2014 war, were undermined by blockades and restrictions. Politically, the humanitarian focus seems promising, yet questions remain over who will manage reconstruction funds. Trump envisions a Riviera of megacities, potentially transforming Gaza's economy, The Guardian. However, cultural critics warn redevelopment risks erasing historic sites destroyed in the conflict. Analysts caution that despite its ambition, financing remains uncertain, BBC. Point 3. Ceasefire and Israeli withdrawal. If accepted, Israeli forces would withdraw in stages, preparing for hostage exchanges while halting aerial and artillery operations. Historically, similar frameworks, such as the 2024 Biden proposal, failed due to mistrust, BBC. While the plan could allow aid to flow and families to reunite, enforcement mechanisms remain unclear without independent monitors, Al Jazeera. Point 4. Hostage release. All hostages, both living and deceased, would be returned within 72 hours of Israel's acceptance. Around 48 remain in captivity, 20 alive, App News. This echoes past exchanges, such as the 2011 Gilad Shalit deal. Politically, it strengthens Israel's position, though critics question the feasibility of the timeline, Reuters. Point 5. Prisoner exchange. Israel would release 250 life sentence prisoners and 1,700 detainees held after October 7, 2023, including women and children. Historically, such exchanges have built goodwill while also fueling political divisions. Netanyahu's right-wing allies oppose the move, calling it excessive, The Guardian. Supporters argue it could heal fractured Palestinian communities, though risks remain if militants return to armed struggle, Al Jazeera. Point 6. Amnesty for disarmed Hamas members. Hamas fighters who disarm and pledge peaceful coexistence would receive amnesty or safe passage abroad. This mirrors the decommissioning of the IRA in Northern Ireland. Yet, for Hamas, such terms strike at the core of its identity. Observers argue it represents one of the greatest obstacles to agreement, BBC. Point 7. Humanitarian aid surge. Upon acceptance, aid would be delivered to rebuild water systems, hospitals, bakeries, and roads. Historically, aid delivery has been entangled in politics. A major influx could ease famine risks and restore daily life, UN reports. International bodies, including the UN and Red Crescent, are expected to play leading roles, Reuters. Point 8. Neutral aid distribution. Aid entry would be managed by the UN, Red Crescent, and neutral international agencies. Rafah crossing would reopen under these mechanisms. Historically, border crossings have been major flashpoints, and past deliveries faced repeated interference. Al Jazeera. Point 9. Transitional governance. The plan envisions a technocratic Palestinian committee supervised by an international board of peace, chaired by Donald Trump, with figures such as Tony Blair. Critics argue this sidelines Palestinian self-governance and risks perceptions of colonial-style oversight. Diana Buttu. Economically, it could attract investment, but socially and culturally, foreign-led administration may face rejection. BBC. Point 10. Economic Development Plan. Modeled on Middle Eastern miracle cities, such as Dubai, the proposal aims to generate jobs and prosperity. Economists caution, however, that details remain scarce. Al Jazeera. Point 11. Special Economic Zone. A free trade zone with preferential tariffs is proposed to stimulate growth, similar to Singapore's model. This could create employment opportunities and integrate Gaza into global trade. PBS. Point 12. No forced displacement. The plan states that no residents will be forced out of Gaza, addressing long-standing fears rooted in the Nakba of 1948. Analysts see this as a symbolic reassurance against ethnic cleansing. The Telegraph. Point 13. Demilitarization of Gaza. All tunnels, weapons, and military infrastructure would be dismantled under international supervision. Independent monitors would verify compliance through disarmament and buyback programs. Critics argue such measures, while echoing post-war Germany's demilitarization, remain highly ambitious. CNN. Point 14. Regional guarantees. Neighboring Arab states would ensure compliance, reminiscent of past Gulf security pacts. This would foster inter-Arab cooperation, though the depth of commitment remains uncertain. Al Jazeera. Point 15. International Stabilization Force, ISF. An international force, supported by Jordan and Egypt, would oversee Gaza's security and train Palestinian police. While similar to UN peacekeeping missions, this raises concerns about sovereignty and foreign troop presence. BBC. Point 16. Dialogue between Israel and Palestinians. The plan calls for renewed political dialogue, evoking the Oslo Accords. However, it stops short of explicitly promising statehood. Reuters. Point 17. No annexation of Gaza. Israel would pledge not to occupy or annex Gaza. While politically significant, critics argue the plan leaves room for continued security perimeters. BBC. Point 18. Conditional pathway to statehood. If governance reforms and redevelopment succeed, Gaza may move toward Palestinian self-determination. This echoes earlier two-state solution frameworks, though skeptics say the plan's conditions weaken its credibility. Al Jazeera. Point 19. Interfaith dialogue. Religious leaders would engage in dialogue to promote tolerance, similar to the Abraham Accords. Analysts suggest it could reduce tensions and even encourage interfaith tourism. The Guardian. Point 20. Enforcement mechanisms. The US, Israel, and regional partners would monitor compliance. Trump has described the plan as historic, though enforcement has been the downfall of many peace initiatives in the past. ABC News. Conclusion. The 20-point plan is ambitious, blending humanitarian, political, and economic measures. While it offers a potential pathway to peace, it faces immense challenges in implementation. Reactions remain mixed, welcomed by Western and Arab governments, but criticized by many Palestinians. According to President Emmanuel Macron, it represents a conditional step toward a two-state solution. French presidency. Whether this initiative marks a genuine turning point or another failed attempt in the long history of the conflict will only be revealed with time.